So welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Ask the Go live session. So good. Good share that'll lead us into our lesson, which is the last review lesson. In fact, the last part of part one of the workbook, because there are two parts to it. So we're about to embark on the second part, and the focus of that is more on actually the experience of peace and love and joy, less on the undoing and more on the experience. Obviously there's always the letting go running through it all, but the focus shifts slightly and the lessons are shorter. So that's where we're at in the program. So let's just let me share my screen with you. Okay, so let me know when you can see it, and if you can read the headline quote for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives to I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. And there's Jesus giving his hand out there. It's a nice picture.
It's a lovely picture, that, isn't it?
It is.
Like, I'm giving you, I'm holding a hand out to you, I'm calling you back to the light, and at the same time, I'm offering you peace. That could be an offer. He's giving something to you, and he's also reaching out to you and saying, follow me. Follow me, back home, back into the light. So lovely photo to accompany the quote from the Gospel of John in the New Testament. And Yeshua's just assuring us that the peace he experienced is ours as well. He's urging us not to allow resistance to and fear of apparent problems to occupy our minds. When he says, not as the world gives, do I give to you, it means that focusing your attention on the world of form will never bring you true peace. Because this world, being the projection of the ego or belief in separation, that is the only reason you don't consistently experience the peace of perfect love, is designed to disturb your peace. You've got to realize that the world is a projection of the entity that disturbed your peace of mind. And so what can you expect from its projection but something that's designed to disturb your peace further? What else could you really expect from anything produced by a belief that seemed to shatter the peace of heaven? Which, remember, is just the state of pure formless awareness. So it shattered that state of mind that you were once in and took you into a very disturbed, by comparison, state of mind, which you're still in, and now living in that disturbed state of mind, apparently as a human being in this so-called world, so-called reality. So what could you expect, from that first initial thought, the tiny mad idea of separation, which shattered our peace? From that came the idea of guilt and sin and fear and attack. What else could you really expect? If we look at our descent into hell and the way home, what else could you expect from an idea that denies peace, but disturbance of peace? And of course, that's what's happened. Over and over, the ego disturbs our peace with the guilt and the sin and the fear and the attack thoughts and the judgments and the condemnation, and then all of its manifestations, sickness and suffering and pain and death. This is all designed to disturb our peace of mind and deny this perfect peace that comes from the state of pure formless awareness. So how can you then expect peace from something that's designed to disturb your peace? Well, logically, you can't, can you? Logically, you should go, well, actually, it's never going to bring you peace. So the external universe and the world in which we seem to live is the projection of your belief in separation, and now the seeming justification for endless disturbances to your peace of mind. And that's the world we seem to live in. But within that, Yeshua symbolizes the thought system of the Christ or the true self that will save or awaken you from the self-created nightmare in which peace doesn't seem to be possible, and various disturbing emotions like desire, or in Buddhist terminology, craving, resistance, or aversion, which is really the desire for something to be different from what it is, constant fear or anxiety that your expectations about your apparently external reality should look or not be met. All of that seems to occupy your mind in this illusion. Self-created nightmare. So he urges you not to allow these troubles and fears, which are really caused by your own false beliefs and expectations projected outwards, to disturb your peace in any way. So the way out of this projection perception mechanism is start denying the effect of the projections on your perception, because then you deny their reality and you deny the belief system within you that projected them out. And so you're then undoing that belief system or thought system that is behind the whole world and your apparent existence in it, as you undo and as you let go of your judgments and all of the reactivity that you have to the various slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes, as Shakespeare put it poetically in this work. You see that? So that is, the simple logic of the Holy Spirit, which understands how the mind works, is, okay, so the way out of this conundrum you've got yourself into is start denying the effect of the projections on you, because then you are actually denying the belief system that projected them and also wants to perceive them, because you're also perceiving from those beliefs. So if you look at this and say, okay, so projection perception, we have this false desire to be a separate self and a belief system based on that. That belief system projects out, creates all kinds of circumstances and situations and events in our dream world, which then come to us as sensory inputs via the senses, and then we perceive them based on the same belief system, which in turn leads to a thought system, which in turn leads to an emotional tone, a general level of emotion. Most people are set at a certain level, so it might be fear or anger, or if you're more positive, you're at optimism or forgiveness or acceptance. The scale of David Hawkins is useful in this regard. Show that quickly. So this is your thought system and your emotional tone. Each is a level of that, and the idea is that you're going to come from that level. Wherever you're at, that's the energy that you're putting out, and that's what's going to be projected, and then that's how you're going to perceive it. So if you want to change your reality, you've got to change the way that you perceive your existing reality. And that happens through letting go. You can let go of, let's say, thought system and emotions that don't serve you, all the ones below 200, and you can start establishing yourself at a higher level. So yeah, that's and then we were talking earlier about how this course is useful in various instances, like dealing with household maintenance issues or business. You can then play the game at a higher level. If you've let go of your negativity, you can then say, well, I can be at reason here. I'm underlyingly peaceful, but I can drop into, let's say, a reason, or there can be a willingness to do stuff. At times in the day, I'm called on to be willing, inspiring, hopeful, willing. Otherwise, why would you take on these new ventures? There's a willingness there, and there's an optimism, isn't it? You're doing it because you believe that it's going to work. Otherwise, why would you bother? But without undue expectation. It's just say, I'm overall positive, and I believe it's going to work, and so I'll put my time and effort into it. And then at other times, you might be called on, for a reasoning, and say, well, actually, let's look at this overall from a spiritual perspective. If you look at the ethics of it, I was talking about that one business I was involved in. The ethics of that were questionable. That's reasoning that you're applying there, based on an understanding of truth. That in truth we're all one. Therefore, any relationship should be fair to both parties, because that's an expression of oneness. So that's reasoning capacity, which gives you the wisdom to be able to make a decision about what you should do from a higher perspective of reason, rather than one of fear or anger or pride. And so your response is then moderated accordingly. So a very different response from one rooted in fear, for instance, or anger, because both of which would have been possible for me. But that's slipping down into a much lower level, and of course that's where the ego wants you. The intention is not to help you to resolve the problem; it's just to keep you caught up in these lower level emotions. Okay, so does that make sense?
Yes.
So back to our teaching. So realizing, where are we? So awareness or vigilance is required while we seem to be living in this world, because here it's so easy to deny the peace you truly want. When the ego presents you with opportunities to get upset by apparently external circumstances it has invented, and tries to convince you that blaming other people in the world in general for your lack of peace will alleviate your guilt, and giving it to other people and things so God will punish them and not you. This is the crazy mechanism of the ego. It's saying you can somehow offload your guilt onto others, and then God will punish them and not you. But the truth is, the more you give guilt in the form of your attack on others, the more you're reinforcing it. So it's not really getting rid of it, it's actually reinforcing it. So it doesn't work. The truth is, you're not guilty for anything, because you never did anything, because you never did separate from your true awareness. So the guilt isn't real. So therefore it has no consequences. So that's then the high level reasoning capacity of the Holy Spirit. It would put you, this kind of understanding puts you at a level of, in David Hawkins's model, a level of 400 or above. If you start understanding these diagrams and the descent into hell and how it all works, it's a high level reasoning capacity, which is a precursor, as you can see here, to an unconditionally loving awareness. And then you break through from love and you move into these really expanded, enlightened states of being, joy, peace, and ultimately this ineffable bliss that they can't describe. Hence it's called ineffable, which is just pure awareness, pure formless awareness. Okay, so good on that. So our task is to be vigilant of the ego strategies and not to let us drop down, not to let suck us down into these lower levels of awareness and of behavior. Anger, desire, fear. You might have a little bit of that. There was, when I had that experience, a little bit, but then you quickly let it go. So, okay, well, I'm aware of it, but I can release it. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to allow that state of mind to stick in my consciousness,
Mm.
which is then letting it go, and that allows you then to transcend it and operate at a higher level, which is much more functional and able to deal with that situation in a different way. So letting go is like the trampoline that helps you to bounce up the scale. As soon as you let go of some negativity, you bounce up the scale and you go into one of these higher states. So it's the quickest way to move up the scale. Deep letting go, really genuine letting go process will take you significantly up the scale. There's people, in a moment of satori, you can go from a very low level and you can break through and go to a very high level in moments. It's possible. It's unusual, but it does happen because it's just a state of mind. Yeah. So, any questions on that?
That's clear. Mhm. That's good.
So the key thing is, while you're calm and you're quiet, you're peaceful, when you're not being tempted by the ego, realizing that the ego's logic is completely false. That's why we do the study and the practice. It's going to help you maintain this vigilance when you're being tested. Read the paragraph above again. You can do it aloud and just.
The highlighted one.
In other words, awareness.
Right.
In other words, awareness
Just
and
a few
vigilance.
seconds there. Come on, Teddy.
Okay, can you not read?
Sorry, there's just 3 dogs that I've got to try and. My husband's trying to get them to go out. Come on. Oh, right. Yeah, it's not happening. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, right. Okay. Right. Where are we? In other words, awareness or vigilance is required while you seem to be living in a world, because here it is easy to deny the peace you truly want when the ego presents you with opportunities to get upset by apparently external circumstances it has invented and tries to convince you that blaming other people and the world in general for your lack of peace will alleviate your guilt by giving it to other people and things so God would punish them and not you.
So if you look at that logic of the ego, and tries to convince you blaming other people in the world for your lack of peace will alleviate your guilt by giving the guilt to other people, so God will punish them and not you. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Doomed to failure, isn't it? If you try and do that as a strategy, you can see why it's going to fail time and time again, because it's insane.
Yeah, we've tried.
You can't ever blame other people and the world and expect that that's going to get rid of your guilt and that's going to bring you peace. It's never going to happen. And yet, the ego insists that it will. And so it wants to keep you doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same frustrating results that don't work, and not seeing the insanity of it. As Einstein said, the insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And Yeshua's saying to us, well, you need to wise up here, because that's what you've been doing for a long, long time, and it's getting you nowhere. You're just unhappy, miserable, frustrated, and this will take you down to death very quickly if you indulge in these kinds of energies. So let it go, listen to me, have another thought system, realize that this thought system of the ego is completely insane, and refuse to listen to it. So having done this, can you see it's really impossible to get rid of your guilt by giving, or in Course in Miracles terminology, projecting it onto another person thing?
Yeah, no, it never works.
How does that get rid of it?
No, it just
If you
keeps
project it
boomeranging.
out, what you're really saying is, well, I have a lot of it to project, right? The more I give something, the more I'm saying, well, I've got a lot of it to give. The more you give guilt to another person, the more guilty you'll feel, because you can't give what you don't have. So if you keep giving or projecting guilt in the form of blaming and complaining about other people in the world, you're continually reinforcing the illusion that you have plenty of it to give. The ego won't let you see that. The Holy Spirit, with its clear, calm logic, says, well, yes, that's how it works. So the more you give guilt in the form of attack, the more guilty you'll feel. So that strategy is never going to work to get rid of your guilt. It's just going to reinforce the guilt. It's also worth reminding yourself that no one can be guilty in truth, because nothing they seem to do in a dream is real. So they're never really separated from God or pure formless awareness of perfect love. And they therefore cannot be guilty and deserving of punishment for a crime they didn't commit. Everyone, including you, is really perfect, whole, and complete in their true self as pure formless awareness of perfect love. Right? So that's what the Holy Spirit tells us. It says, remember, the simple truth that that you're still one. Nothing's really changed. Everyone is actually still pure formless awareness of perfect love. We're all just this one awareness. There's only one of us here. There's one self, and all this craziness of the ego is of no effect. It's all illusion. And it reminds us of that fact. And when we really get that, we can't help but feel a sense of peace. Oh, well, it's all okay, because it's just a dream. It's just a crazy dream, just a nightmare. I'm waking up from it, fortunately. The nightmare's nearly over. So it's okay. I can play out the rest of the dream. I can have a relatively happy dream while I'm here for a few years, and then the game is over. I'm never coming back to this insane place. That's the reinterpretation of the Holy Spirit, which brings us a lot of peace and a lot of certainty, a lot of calm, no matter what seems to be happening on the level of form. Okay. So just read those last two paragraphs from there to there.
Yeah.
Because that's the alternative to the ego's thought system.
Having done this, can you see that it really is impossible to get rid of your guilt by giving, or in the ACIM terminology, projecting it onto another person or thing, which is what all blame really entails. The more you give guilt to another person, the more guilty you will feel, because you can't give what you don't have. So if you keep giving or projecting guilt in the form of blaming and complaining about other people in the world, you are continually reinforcing the illusion that you have plenty of it to give. And it's also worth reminding yourself that no one can be guilty in truth, because nothing they seem to do in a dream is real. So they never really separated from God or pure formless awareness of perfect love, and therefore cannot be guilty and deserving of punishment for a crime they didn't commit. Everyone, including you, is really perfectly whole and complete in their true self as pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, it's very clear, isn't it? You know, guilt is just an illusion of the mind, and you give it out there or project it out, you're just accentuating it, and it's not good. Because despite what you see in the appearance of illusions, they are like us, whole and complete.
All complete and perfect.
Yeah.
So if you ponder that impeccable logic, it makes sense. You go, yeah, that makes sense. You can't really fault it. The ego is just going to say, well, I'm real and this is not. This is all illusion. But the Holy Spirit says, no, actually the ego is the illusion, and this pure formless awareness of perfect love is true reality. This is the truth that you've always known on some level, but you've chosen to deny. And so you start seeing, by looking at the ego's thought system in this kind of very calm, clear way, that it's expecting circumstances and people and places and events to be other than they are, and blaming others and the world, even the weather can be used to serve this twisted purpose, is completely insane. So you need to let go of your belief in it and its resulting behavior of desiring and expecting, blaming and complaining entirely to be at peace. You look at that system, you go, the entire system needs to be undone, really. And once you make that decision, then you're deciding with the Holy Spirit for God, for love, and against the ego, which is what this course is trying to facilitate. So that leads us into our live session and our mind training lesson for today, which is the last lesson of part 1 of the workbook. Now moving into part 2 tomorrow. So last review lesson 220. So there's no peace except the peace of God or perfect love. Share it in the actual document. Where are we? 220, there we go. So let's go down here. So if you read the first part, I'm not a body, I'm free, in the original and the alternative, and then into the main idea.
I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Or, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as perfect love extends me. And there is no peace except the peace of God. Or, there is no peace except the peace of perfect love.
Yeah, which is a nice translation. The peace and the perfect go together nicely as a bit of alliteration. There is no peace except the peace of perfect love. That's what brings you peace. Perfect love is this loving awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, we call it, whatever you want to call it. It's a sense of being whole, complete. You're at peace internally. So whatever's happening in the chaotic external world doesn't matter too much, because you have that peace of God, the peace of perfect love in your mind that can help you to interpret everything accordingly. Everything in the world of illusion can be perceived from the place, the state, shall we say, of the peace of perfect love. Okay, so then read original and alternative of the little teaching, a couple of lines there.
Let me not wander from the way of peace, for I am lost on other roads than this. But let me follow him who leads me home, and peace is certain as the love of God. Let me not wander from the way of peace, for I am lost in other roads than this. But let me follow the peaceful presence that leads me home, and peace is certain at the pure formless awareness of perfect love. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. Or I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as perfect love extends me.
Mm. Yeah, thoughts on that?
Very nice. Nice little lesson. Let's just not wonder if we
Peace,
just
accept the
not
peace of perfect love.
yeah, not to wander off and allow the ego to take over. We just stay still in this perfect peace.
I'm lost on other roads than this. So if we're not at peace, we're lost. We're lost in the ego's dream world. Various illusions going on, and there's no real resolution to the state of sanity. Return your mind to peace. As they say, let me follow the peaceful presence that leads me home. Peace is certain as the pure formless awareness of perfect love. Well, the peaceful presence is remembrance of perfect love, leads me home to my true home in heaven. And then peace is certain as the love of God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is the source of our peace. Peace and that state of pure formless awareness of perfect love go hand in hand. They're actually the same, which is why I capitalize peace, because it's actually referring to that same transcendent state. As is love, capital love, or joy. They're different terms with the same transcendent reality, which is always capitalized. Or whatever you want to call it, peace, home, love. It's pointing us to a state of mind that is beyond all illusions. Okay, so any other thoughts on that? This is our final lesson. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God, or perfect love extends me or created me. Any thoughts on that? Final kind of insights.
Just a very good lesson if you practice it regularly.
Yeah, it's something you could remind yourself of every day from now on. Just say, I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. It can become like an overall lesson, because it's always true. And what I like about it is it deals with both sides. It deals with the body in the first sentence. Okay, so I'm not a body, but I'm acknowledging I seem to think I have a body. It seems to me have a reality. I am free. I'm free of that. So then it's taking us and it's transcending it, reminding us that I'm still as perfect love extends me. So taking us fully into the transcendent reality as we are extended and still being extended by this source, and connects us with that source into the feeling and experience of it in the present moment, which is why we make it present tense. It extends me rather than in the original it's created in the past tense. Okay, so happy to move on. Let's take a look at our lesson, shall we? Just give me a moment. The recording going. So I think let's do a meditation to end, shall we?
Yeah.
I've got a stop. Need to be done by 9:30, so it gives us an hour and a half almost. The lesson is 9 paragraphs, so it's a lot shorter.
Does the
So
text
let's do that, and then
text or
the text.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so today's text reading is section 8 of chapter 26, called the Immediacy of Salvation, or translated alternative language, the Immediacy of Awakening. So he's saying awakening is immediate, right here, right now. Let's see what exactly what he chose to say in this one. So read it in the alternative, not much to translate there. So just brother will become companion. So alternative.
The one remaining problem that I have is that I perceive an interval between the time when I let go and will receive the benefits of trusting in my companion. This only reflects the little space I want to keep between myself and my companion, so that I and she might be a little separate. For time and space are one illusion, which takes different forms. If it has been projected beyond my mind, I think of it as time. The nearer it is brought to where I think I am in this world, the more I think of it in terms of space.
Interesting points he's making. So what's he saying here in summary?
Something to do with the little space that causes us to be separate. And that time and space is an illusion. So it's that little space that we, the nearer it is it is brought to where I think I am in the world, the more I think of it in terms of space. So space, do you mean where there's no chatting, no nothing going on? We're all just one in that space.
Yeah, also, so we're thinking of it as time. It's projected beyond my mind, so time is more conceptual. The more it is where I think I am in this world. Okay, so I think I'm in a physical location, I'm in this town, city, I'm in this house, other people around, then I think of it in terms of space. So what's in my immediate space around me? And as Einstein, he called it time space. He realized that this was a construct. He called it the fabric of space time, or time space, whichever way you want to say it, and realized that we were living in this construct. Space time had this seeming existence that is the kind of fundamental existence of this universe. But that wasn't absolute. That could change. You could bend space-time. It's the whole theory of relativity and gravity. The theory of relativity and the special theory of relativity talk about space-time. They talk about bending space-time. And so what Einstein realized was that this was not absolute. I think that's one of the key points. Time, space are not absolute. They vary. They change. Time seems to change. Space, time can be bent. His theory was that gravity is just a bending of space-time. This is why gravity seems to exist. So it's not an absolute, although it seems to be like fundamental law in this world, gravity. It's not, because it can change. All relative. And what he was looking for really was a grand unified theory that would unite everything. He never found it, and I don't think anyone ever will, because this world is made by the ego, which is the belief in separation, and so it's designed to be separate, and it's designed to separate us, and you can't look within its projection to find that which it's denied, unity. You have to look beyond it. So that collapses space-time. You have to look beyond space-time to what preceded space-time.
Oh, Teddy.
And that's going ultimately out of the whole dream. So we look at our diagram here. Where are we? Let's go back to this. Before the thought of separation, what existed? That's the question. There must have been something from which the idea of separation came, split off. And that's beyond all the projections of the idea of separation, space-time being one of the big ones. The space-time are the construct of this new reality that the tiny mad idea of separation has spawned. But it's not true. Whatever space-time happening in space-time is all relative. It's not absolute. Only pure formless awareness of perfect love is absolute. And so Yeshua is reminding us of that fact and saying, well, just let go of all these tiny mad ideas and the projections of space-time and everything that happens within space-time, and return to your true awareness as one. Okay, does that make sense? Any other thoughts or comments on that one alone? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Shall we move on to number 2 then? So I want to keep some distance between myself and my companion. Can you read, Elaine? Or?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was talking. I didn't realize I was muted. I do apologize. Just one of my friend's dog was barking at the cat. Right, so I'm okay now. I want to keep some distance between myself and my companion. In this space, I perceive as time because I still believe I am external to her.
Let's just change that to them, companions, to believe space you perceive as time because you still believe you're external to him. So this is the fundamental illusion of the world. I have a body, you have a body. I think I'm separate from you because we're in different bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to keep space between us. Keep some distance between myself and my companions, because without distance, without space to separate us, who would I be? I wouldn't have my own identity. And this space I perceive as time because I still believe that I'm external to them. Okay, we carry on.
This makes trust impossible, and I cannot believe that trust would settle every problem now. And so do I think it's safer to remain a little careful and a little watchful of interests perceived as separate. I cannot conceive of gaining what letting go offers now from this perception. The interval, I think, lies in between the giving and receiving of the gift. There seems to be one in which I sacrifice and suffer loss. I perceive eventually awakening, not immediate results.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Well, it's down to the trust. We still have that little bit of doubt and still believe in the external world. But of course, this will make trust impossible. So we think that trust would not settle every problem now. So we want to err on the side of caution and remain a little careful and watchful.
I think lies in between the giving and receiving of the gift.
Yeah.
Seems to be one in which I sacrifice and suffer loss. Perceive eventual awakening, not immediate results. Yeah. So, any thoughts on that?
Well, it's true, isn't it? We all have a little bit of reservation, even though we're, on the path to, well, blossoming or whatever you want to call it, or awakening. Well, we like to think we're on our way there, but we still are cautious. And that's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, there's a common delusion in spiritual thinking. A lot of spiritual seekers are seeking. Oh, one day I'll get there. Not today, but one day in the future, I'm seeking enlightenment. I'll get there. And what the Course does is cut through that and say, but it's here now. It's already here. Right now, if you will just be willing to drop your defenses and experience it. And so you can experience awakening right now if you chose to. Because that awareness that you truly have is still there. Always been there. It's available right now. You've just obscured it. And one of those defenses is time. Oh, well, it's going to take time. So then I see it as distant from me in time. Do you see how the illusion of time just delays awakening?
That's right. Yes, it's just obviously we're so, yeah. It's just I think it's the body is so wired up to be in the other thought system that to just do it right now for most people would be difficult.
Well, it's the mind, not the body. It's the mind that's bound up in the thought system. And it's the mind thinks it's the body.
That's right.
The mind is very attached to that, and
so we're hardwired,
it struggles to let go. So generally, awakening happens systematically and progressively. So you go, okay, well, just start thinking different thoughts and start doing. So it's kind of mind training that we're doing in this program, and that's gonna start changing things. It just starts, gradually changing my mind. I start changing my thinking, my perceptions, my attitudes, my beliefs, and it's a gradual kind of process. That's what we call the way of mastery. You're going to go on this, conscious spiritual practices to learn this thought system, to start, waking up and getting it more and more progressively and systematically. So it doesn't all happen at once, but you keep going, you get this incremental shift and change. If you keep doing that over the course of months, years, you start seeing, some significant shifts. And that's really what the Course is saying. You can do this. Practice this Course diligently, and you'll start to do that. The other way of awakening is immediate. So sometimes people can have an instant where they just get it. They just suddenly, an experience comes in. They have a deeper insight. Everything changes, and they see the world completely differently in that moment, and then thereafter. So examples of someone like that would be an Eckhart Tolle, also Byron Katie, but they had to go through a lot of pain and suffering to get there.
Yeah.
Because their ego pain body was so heavy, it was like it almost got too overwhelming, and it just kind of cracked open. And then when the crack in such a dense construct happens, it's like, wow, like suddenly that's broken open, the shell's gone, they go into this light awareness, and the contrast is amazing. And they experience that, that very deeply. And then, they generally, or in Eckhart's and Byron Katie's case, they built on that. Okay, so I'll stay mostly in the state, and I'll learn, more about the principles of how I got here and how to teach others to do it. And so they become spiritual teachers. Okay, so anything else on number 2? Happy to move to number 3.
Yeah, it's good. Awakening is immediate. Unless I perceive it in this way, I will be afraid of it, believing there is a great risk of loss between the time its purpose is made mine and its effects will come to me. In this form, the error that is the source of fear is still obscured. Awakening would wipe out the space I still perceive between myself and let me instantly become as one. And it is in this state I fear the loss would lie. Do not project this fear to time, for time is not the enemy that I perceive. Time is as neutral as the body is, except in terms of what I see it is for. If I still want to keep a little space between myself and my companion, I then would want a little time in which I do not fully let go. And this only makes the interval between the time in which I fail to let go fully and its rewards or experience seem dangerous with terror justified.
So what's he saying here?
Awakening, is immediate or can be immediate, unless you perceive it in another way, and then you can be afraid of it greatly. So it's about this space again between ourselves and our companions.
Time is really neutral, is what he's saying. Time is as neutral as the body is, except in terms of what I see, what I perceive it as for, shall we say. Still want to keep a little space between myself and my companions. I then would want a little time which I do not fully let go. See? Because it's space-time. I want to keep space, so I also want time which I don't fully let go and release. To go hand in hand. Still want to keep a space between myself and my companions. I will then want a little time in which I do not fully let go. And this only makes the interval between the time in which I fail to let go fully and its rewards or experience seem dangerous with terror justified. Let's read the original, sure it makes sense. So that makes the interval between the time in which forgiveness is withheld from you and given seem dangerous, terror justified. All right, so there's this interval where you're not forgiven. And he makes the interval between the time in which I fail to let go fully rewards or experience seem dangerous. So I fail to let go, I delay it, and then I have this uncertainty. And this seems to be dangerous to me. This terror is seemingly justified. What's going to happen? And really, I'm saying I'm not willing to just let it go completely. I still want to hold on to my separate self and its perception of this, its fearful perception. Try and get security from doing that, but actually it's very dangerous. In the failure to let go, and fear is seemingly justified. So I fail to let go fully, its rewards are experienced. As dangerous when I fail to let go, with my terror justified. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, happy to move forward on to number 4 then.
Yet space between myself and my companion is apparent only in the present, now, and cannot be perceived in future time. No more can it be overlooked except within the present. Future loss is not my fear. Only present joining is my dread. Who can feel desolation except now? Future cause as yet has no effects, and therefore it must be that if I fear, there is a present cause, and it is this that needs correction, not a future state.
You can feel desolation except now. Future causes yet has no effects. Therefore, it must be that if I fear, there is a present cause. And is this that needs correction, not a future state. So what he's really saying to us is be fully present. You know, there's no, I think this might have actually been quoted in that article. You can feel desolation except now. Future causes yet has no effect. Interesting. So we looked at that article. He was making this point about it's right here, right now. You know, there's no space and there's no time that separates you from others and from your source. Those are just constructs of the mind. So if you're experiencing anxiety, fear, you know, the fear of the future, just bring it back to now. So your future cause as yet has no effects. Therefore, it must be that if I fear, there is a present cause. There's this that needs correction, not a future state. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Another big feature of the course is bringing it back to here now. What you want, what the truth is already here now, and you need to accept and recognize that fact. It is already here now. You don't have to become it, you just have to recognize it. You remember he gave us 2 different versions, 2 different ways that spiritual teachings work. The one says you're deficient and you now need to grow and become more worthy, less deficient. But it's assuming that you're deficient. and then you're going to try and grow from that basis. That's really what the whole personal growth movement is about. And the other one is saying, no, you are already that. Right now, in the present, there's no time or space that separates you from this. You are already there. You are eternal. So accept it right now, rather than denying it. Space and time are denials and delays of this joining right now.
Just seems automatic to always go into the future, doesn't it? It's just so automatic. So you have to be so vigilant.
You said something?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that it's so automatic for us to just wander off into the future. So automatic that it does take a lot of discipline to say, hey, where are you going?
It's right here, right now.
Yeah.
And then people will say, well, what about planning for the future? How do you operate without planning? But whatever you do it now. So, if you need to book a flight to go somewhere, you need to work out logistics of what you're doing in future. You're doing it now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I feel I'm doing right now. So I'm not psychologically looking ahead. That's really it's the difference between practical time and psychological time, which Eckhart Tolle explains quite well. So practical time is, okay, yes, for instance, you did a trip to the UK. So there's various practical things you've got to do. You've got to book flights. You had to arrange where you're going to stay. It's like, okay, so that's, for the trip to work. So if you're dealing in practical time, you're okay, well, yes, I aim to arrive there. So I need to book a flight on that date. And then I've got to go here to do my house sit, number one, and then the next one, and so on. But psychological time would be taking yourself out of the now and saying, oh, I'm so looking forward to that house sit. It's going to be great, because the now moment right now is not good enough. It's going to be better when I'm at my destination, that particular house sit. And we do tend to do that as human beings. We project ourselves into the future. We think it's going to be better or worse. The ego is quite happy with worse. Oh, it's going to get worse, and then you fear. Either way, you're not in the now, are you? You're not rooted here and now. Your mind is in this future imagined state, which is purely imaginary. So it's illusory. You just made it up in your mind. And that now becomes a substitute for your present awareness, which is deeply peaceful and joyful. And you've covered over that awareness with this other thought. Okay, so yes, you have to be vigilant and watch these constructs. Remember, it's the matrix. We live in space-time, seemingly. So it seems to be the fundamental basis of our existence, doesn't it? Well, who would we be without space and time? A body couldn't exist. You couldn't walk around in space in a body, and you need time to do it. It seems to unfold, moment by moment. So without the construct of space-time, there would be no world. There would be no life in this dream world. So it's fundamental to the ego's world. But what this teaching is saying is that it's not fundamental to truth. It's still part of the illusion. So you have to transcend space-time and realize that beyond space-time lies eternity, lies infinity and eternity are beyond space-time. Space-time are limited and relative and temporary and perceptual, and infinity and eternity are unlimited and eternal. So which do you prefer, he said? The construct of space-time and everything that goes with that. The human experience, this world, the whole cycle of birth and death, that all goes along with the belief of space-time. Okay, so happy with number 4?
Yes.
Thoughts on that? All right,
Yeah.
so number
Yeah.
5.
Mhm.
Plans I
plan-
make for safety.
Yeah. The plans I make for safety all are laid within the future, where I cannot plan. No purpose has been given it as yet, and what will happen has no cause as yet. Who can predict effects without a cause? And you would fear effects unless he thought they had been caused and judged disastrous now. Belief in sin arouses fear, and like its cause is looking forward, looking back, only overlooking what is here and now. Yet if its effects have already been judged as fearful, its cause must be only here and now. In overlooking this, it is protected and kept separate from healing. For a correction is now. It stands already here in present grace with the only interval of time that sin and fear have overlooked. Only which is all there is to time.
Yeah, sorry, but for some reason it keeps substituting only with but.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked it not to, so anyway. So what's he saying here?
Well, everything is, the present grace is here now, but we will insist on delving backwards and forwards, which just brings unpleasantness and fear and all the negativity. It's basically saying this moment now is the time to correct.
Yeah, and that's a hallmark of authentic spiritual teachings. It's not in the future, it's not in the past, because there's no future or past. It's right here, right now. Correction is now. Correction can only be made now. Stands already here in present grace within the own interval of time that sin and fear have overlooked, but which is all there is to time. So again, bringing us back to the now. And if you really look at time, you go, it's illusory. There's no time. It's always now, isn't it? Always.
Yeah.
Time is a construct of the mind. It says, oh, well, I'm now thinking about the past, various past events that seem to happen. Or I'm thinking about the future, which is yet to happen. But all of that is just in thought. It's conceptual.
Yeah.
The truth is, it's only ever now. Always.
Yeah.
Forever now. And there is no time. The past events, whatever seemed to happen, has gone. It was now then, and it's still now, and it's just in the construct of time and space, these things seem to happen sequentially. And so we seem to have a story and a history, his story, his history, which gives us the illusion of some kind of reality. And then we believe in this timeline of consciousness. If we go back to our timeline diagram, which is here, we believe in the timeline from birth to death. And these various events that have happened in our experience seem to be some kind of reality. We look back on them and we go, oh, well, remember that. Remember that event, and then sometimes if they're traumatic, there's a negative emotion that's attached to them. And all that is now held in mind, in memory, and all of that denies that we are just in the now. And the same for future. We look ahead and we've got, imagined future stuff going on in our minds. Well, what it denies is the reality of the present moment. Okay, well, right now, time or true awareness, right now. And it's never not been now. It's always been now. The time is just this illusion that is designed to keep you rooted on the timeline with your attention focused on the events and circumstances and happenings on this timeline, sequential timeline going from birth to death. The ego wants to keep you rooted in a time-based, space-based consciousness because it keeps you believing you're here, you're human, keeps you going from the cycle of birth to death and just recycling it. Because if you die in that same state and you don't know pure formless awareness of perfect love, then guess what? You just recycle and you come back with that accumulated egoic energy or karma that causes you to reincarnate and do the whole timeline trip again. It's really just a mind trip into nowhere, into a time-space construct that don't really exist. And we've just got to get lost in that construct. Okay, so what is he saying in number 5, apart from that?
Well, just like you say, we just get lost in this time structure, aimlessly just causing ourselves unnecessary grief. And it's really not real because, as you say, all there is just this moment now. If we could only realize it.
My belief in sin arouses fear. So good. Let's just unpack it. So plans I make for safety are all made within the future where I cannot really plan. Okay. I mean, if you think about planning, mostly it's ridiculous because you just don't know, do you?
No.
In business, I mean, I just laugh. The business plans, it's a joke because it's never going to happen. It's just a construct of the mind. Say, oh well, we thought about it, and this is what your plan is. Certainly not going to happen the way you planned it. Some of it might happen, possibly, but a lot of the time it doesn't. But in our world, we have to create some kind of illusion of certainty. So then you put a business plan together and you say, oh well, there we put it down in writing, so therefore it's real, and therefore it's more certain, and therefore invest in our business or whatever. But actually, in truth, it's very uncertain. You have no idea, really.
Sort of as they
so
say,
you see these illusions. Yeah, it's a game. So no purpose in giving it as yet. What will happen has no cause as yet.
It's to look at it that way. It's a game. But yes, of course. I mean,
it's imaginary. Who can predict effects without a cause? So if the future has no cause, how can you predict the effects? Who could fear effects unless he thought they had been caused and judged disastrous now? The ego says, this has really happened. I'm judging the disaster now, and then I project that into the future and say, oh dear, this is going to happen in the future.
Could happen again, yeah.
Could happen again.
We all do that, yeah. Obviously
based on a present judgment of disaster.
From the past, yeah.
Based on, because it's always past. It might be happening, it might have happened 5 minutes ago, but it's then past, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that didn't work. So now I look into the future and I go, oh, well, that might not work and that might not work. And so the interesting thing is, as I said, I'm dealing with some of these business things. You've got to stay very present in the present moment, because if you allow yourself to get on the timeline, you go, well, fear comes in. Oh, but that didn't work. So now, I'll contract.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, that doesn't really matter, because what happened in the past is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It only matters now. What's happening now? What decision do I make now? And ideally, we just listen to guidance. We're in the now. We're in our true awareness, and in the now, we listen to guidance that gives us, what we should do now. The Holy Spirit says, "Okay, do that now,"
Mm-hmm.
and then the next now unfolds, and then do that. And so it unfolds moment by moment in the now, graciously, in a flow state. It's just happening now. Okay, so what am I doing now? Okay, I'm doing that now. No thought of the past or the future. I'm getting a direct inspiration download from the Holy Spirit saying, do this now. So when I need to act, I will. It's going to guide me in this. Belief in sin arouses fear, like its cause is looking forward, looking back, but overlooking what is here and now. That its effects have already been judged as fearful, its cause must be only here and now. Right? So he's saying the present cause, it's in you already. Right? You have the seed of fear in you, and that's the idea of sin and guilt. Because sin and guilt require punishment, don't they?
Yeah.
And look at our diagram. So you must then be believing that you've really done something terrible. So you're believing in the past, you're believing you're guilty for it, and then you project into the future and you say, well, now I fear punishment. And all of this is happening past and future, isn't it?
Yes.
So you can see how entrenched the idea of time is in these false beliefs. Guilt and sin, all about the past. Fear, all about the future. And all of that obscures the eternal now moment, which is where you come into this awareness. If you're just now, always present, then you're in pure formless awareness, perfect love. And then he's saying, correction we must overlook the sin and the guilt so that we can heal it. Correction can only be made now. There is no other time. And the only interval of time that sin and fear have overlooked, right? Sin is about the past, fear is about the future, and they overlook, they don't acknowledge the now, which is actually all there really is. All there is to time. It's only ever now. That's the ultimate truth. Do you see the connection between sin and guilt and fear and time? And how sin and guilt and fear root us in time, space, and cause us to stay rooted to the timeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to number 6.
The working out of all correction takes no time at all, yet the acceptance of the working out can seem to take forever. The change of purpose, the remembrance of perfect love brought to my relationship, has in it all effects that I will perceive. They can be perceived now. Why wait until they unfold in time and fear they may not come? although they are already there. I have been told that everything that comes from pure, formless awareness of perfect love brings good, and yet it seems as if and yet it seems as if this is not so. Good in disasters form is difficult to recognize in advance, nor is there really any sense in this idea.
So what's he saying in this one?
Well, if you're trying to work corrections out in time, then it'll just go on and on. Yet, but we just need to perceive everything right now. And so that he's asking, why wait until it unfolds in time, and fear that may never not come. And we've been told that pure formless awareness brings good. So, why not find out now?
Why should I wait until they unfold in time and fear they may not come, although they're already there? So this is the teaching. It's already there. You don't have to wait for a long time. You just have to be willing to uncover it now. It's already there. You've been sitting on this treasure forever, thinking, well, one day I'll have the treasure. But actually, you're sitting on it right now. It was always there, but you just weren't aware of it. You're told that everything comes from pure forms, whereas perfect love brings good, and yet it seems as if this is not so. Good in disastrous form is difficult to recognize in advance, nor is there really any sense in this idea. So that's another senseless idea of the ego, because the good is now. It's right here, it's right now, in your experience, right now. And it's always there. Doesn't matter what's happening on the level of form. The now is the now. Your awareness is always here now. Pure formless awareness with perfect love and the now are one. You can only experience it, that awareness, now. As soon as you think of a past or future thought, then you're out of the now, you're out of that awareness. And you're in a delusion. Okay?
Yes.
Makes sense? Happy? Number 7.
Why should the good appear in evil's form? And it is not deception if it does. If it appears at all, its cause is here. Why are its effects not apparent then? Why do they seem to be in the future? And I seek to be content with sighing and with reasoning. I do not understand it now, only will someday.
No, but will someday.
Yeah, but will someday. And then its meaning will be clear.
So just pause there. What he's highlighting is a major spiritual error. People go, well, it's a mystery. I don't really get it now, but one day I'll get it. The mysteries will be revealed. And so I'm always trying. I'm a spiritual seeker, and I'm never quite there. I'm always striving to understand. And but if I continue in this belief that I can't understand now, then I continue in this seeking.
Yeah.
And actually, you can understand it right now. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Yeshua's giving us this teaching to help us to understand right now, in real time, okay, this is what's going on. I can understand it, I can accept it, I can experience the grace of it, and right now I can be in pure forms, the oneness of perfect love. It's possible. Rather than delaying it, seeing it in the future or the past. One day I'll become enlightened. One day I'll get it. One day the mysteries will be revealed. Someday. No, today. That's why there's lessons where he says, the light has come. It's here now. He's trying to bring us into the here and now, accepting that it's already here. Which would seem to be completely obvious, but many spiritual teachings and paths don't. They, in fact, encourage the search. One day the mysteries will reveal. Keep working at it. One day you'll understand the Holy Trinity. One day you'll understand. But right now it's okay. You don't understand, and that's okay. The truth is, it's not okay, because you can understand, and you can understand right now. And Yeshua is teaching us the truth. He's not teaching us something that can't be understood. He's teaching us in a way that it can absolutely be understood right now in these lessons and texts in the course. So he's saying, just wake up now. Really, that's the message, which is what all the great spiritual teachings are saying. Wake up right now. All right. So, given the chains of purpose for good, there's no reason for an interval in which disaster seems to strike, to be perceived as good someday, but now as a form of pain. Have we read number 7? No.
Well, we read some of it, but then we paused.
Yeah, hang on. So where are we at
number 7?
Yeah. Finish it.
And then its meaning will be clear. This is not reason, for it is unjust and clearly hints at punishment until the time of liberation is at hand. Given a change of purpose for the good, there is no reason for an interval in which disaster seems to strike. To be perceived as good someday, but now as a form of pain. This is a sacrifice of now, which could not be the cost. The remembrance of perfect love asks for us what it gave without a cost at all.
So thoughts on that?
Well, this is not a sacrifice to be in the now. And remembrance of perfect love asks for what it gave without cost. It's going to be free. So it's there where your freedom lies. But we want to reason and seek and understand, and one day going on and on and on. And then hope that it'll come clear to us.
Yeah, and so you become an eternal seeker and never a finder. And that's quite common in spiritual circles. I'm seeking, and one day, even if you're not spiritual, one day it's going to work. One day my ship will come in. One day things are going to work out and things are going to be better, but not today. And so you put off the true joy of being now. And saying, well, it's only ever now, and it only ever will be now, and this is as good as it gets right now. I can experience my true awareness right now, or I can choose to live in fantasy world in the past and the future. This is the sacrifice of now, which could not be the cost. Remember, perfect love asked for what it gave without a cost at all. So we can't really sacrifice the now, although the ego tells us we can. There's no sacrifice in the Holy Spirit's thought system. So Holy Spirit says, right now, all peace, all love, all joy are in you, available to you right now. So open your mind to these, bring your attention into the present, and you can experience, all of this, which is immediacy of salvation. This is immediacy of awakening right now. Okay, and that transcends the timeline. If you bring yourself into the now, it's the most effective way of undoing the ego. Because in the now, you're aware of your true awareness, and you deny the past and the future, which are the ego's major weapons to keep you rooted in time. And so if you're purely now and present, then you're on this track. You're in the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of the dream. You go up into pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is an experience you can only have now. You find that present peace, and you return your awareness, whatever you're perceiving, and you perceive it very presently, currently. Okay, well now, if I'm feeling any negativity whatsoever, I need to let it go and just be purely present. And then in that clear, empty space of now, you might get an inspired idea, not one based on your past conditioning and programming, your imaginings, your expectations, one that is a direct download from Spirit that says, just do this now.
Yeah.
And that's the enlightened way of operating in this world. Just do this now. No reference to the past, no reference to the future. I get a direct download. It says, go, do that. Do that, say that, speak that. Okay, all right. I'm just going to follow the guidance. Moment by moment. That's my path. Just to follow the guidance moment by moment. Okay. Moving swiftly on to happy with number 7.
Yes.
Number 8, that this illusion is a cause.
Yet this illusion has a cause which, through untrue, must already be in my mind. And this illusion, though untrue, must already be in my mind. And this illusion is only one effect that the cause engenders, and one form in which its outcome is perceived. This interval in time, when retribution is received to be the form in which the good appears, is only one aspect of this little space that lies between myself and my companion that I still have not yet let go of.
Okay, so what's he saying here?
Well, talking about the illusion and its cause, though it's not true, it's already, but it's already in our minds.
And
the illusion has an effect that engenders engenders all kinds of things.
Awareness, mind. This illusion is only one effect that the cause engenders, and one form, which is outcome, is perceived.
So this interval in
time, I have an illusion going on, although it's untrue. It seems to have a cause, and then it seems to have effects in time. Remember, cause and effect are a space-time idea. You have cause, and then you have time that elapses, and then you have effect. The cause and effect can only happen in time.
Yeah.
And you see the linkages of these ideas. Time-space construct and ideas like cause and effect which is essentially what karma is. The Eastern
Mhm.
teachings, they call it karma. Karma is cause and effect. Your karma keeps you rooted on the timeline. You keep coming back and you keep having causes, and then false effects. And you try and find some kind of peace in that. But you can't, as today's lesson says. There's no peace except the peace of God. The interval in time when retribution is perceived to be the form in which the good appears, in which when I receive retribution to be the form in which the good appears is only one aspect of the little space that lies between myself and my companions. I still have not let go of. What I perceive to be the form so good appears, and retribution is perceived to be the form in which the good appears. So we think that somehow, retribution, form in which interval in time when I perceive to be the form, when I perceive retribution as revenge to be the form in which the good appears, only one aspect of the little space that lies between myself and my companions. Which I still have not let go of. What's he saying here? I perceive revenge, the form in which the good appears, but actually I haven't let go of one aspect of the little space that lies between myself and my companions. So that separates me from them.
The little space is the space between thought, isn't it? Each thought.
Well, the little space that lies between myself and my companions is my perception that I'm separate from them.
Oh, I see.
So I'm separate because they did something, I'm not happy with it. I have a sense of revenge. Perceived revenge to be the form in which the good appears. Quite good.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible? How can the good appear in evil's form? This is what he's saying. Good is good and evil is evil, and they don't mix. So I must choose, which thought system to believe in. Okay, happy with that?
Yeah.
Number 9.
Do not be content with future happiness. It has no meaning, and it is not my just reward. For I have cause for freedom now. What use is freedom in a prisoner's form? Why should deliverance be disguised as death? Delay is senseless, and the reasoning that I would maintain effects of present cause must be delayed until future time is merely a denial of the fact that consequence and cause must arise as one. Do not desire to be freed from time, only from the little space, that still seems to exist between myself and my companion. And I do not let this space be disguised as time, and so preserved because its form is changed, and what it is cannot then be recognized. I can remember perfect love's purpose now. Should its happiness not be mine as well?
Is that no, I cannot recognize. Okay, so let's unpack that. I'll not be content with future happiness. It has no meaning, is not my just reward. I'll be happy in future, but I'm not happy now.
Yeah.
There's no future. It's meaningless. Most people live in that delusion. One day, someday, one day, I'll be happy. And I'll be happy when this happens, or when this happens, or when this. It's meaningless because it's just an illusion in your mind. Has no meaning, is not my just reward, for I have cause for freedom now. What use is freedom in a prisoner's form? Indeed, what profits freedom in a prisoner's form? So can I really be free in a prisoner's form, being the body? What use is freedom in a prisoner's form? I.e., the body. Why should deliverance be disguised as death? Delay is senseless, and the reasoning that would maintain effects of present cause must be delayed until a future time is merely a denial of the fact that consequence and cause must arise as one. So the consequence and the cause are actually simultaneous, although the ego tells us that cause and effect are separated by time. The moment I have a thought, a feeling, that's the cause of whatever effects that leads to in time. They actually arise as one. So I collapse. The more I start to become aware of this, the more I collapse time. Do you see that? I'm realizing that I don't need time anymore. Consequence and cause are one right now. The cause is in my mind, and the consequence that seems to play out in the dream world is also in my mind right now. I do not desire to be freed from time, but only from the little space that still seems to exist between myself and my companions. That's an interesting thought. Okay, so I don't desire to be freed from time, but I desire to be freed from the space that seems to exist between me and my companions. Because the space is what seems to separate us, that keeps us away from unity. I will not let this space be disguised as time, and so preserved because its form is changed. Then I cannot recognize what it is. Interesting. So I'm not gonna do any deceptions and disguise space by thinking that time is required. So just another deception. Oh, I need time to work this out. I need time to be happy.
Time is the healer. That's another expression. Time is the healer.
Time can be, if used by the Holy Spirit. But ultimately, the Holy Spirit reminds you that no time is necessary. You can heal your mind right now. We only seem to need time because we're so stubborn, because we resist it. We don't accept it right now. So it seems to take time to work out. But if we had no resistance, we'd be healed right now. No blocks to awareness of love's presence, you'd be completely healed right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he concludes by saying, I can remember perfect love's purpose now. Should its happiness not be mine as well? I can remember its purpose now, which is for me to be happy. That's the purpose of perfect love. Me to be happy now, then the happiness that it brings is mine as well. Okay, and then just there's a personalized executive summary.
Yeah, I perceive a delay between when I let go and when I experience the benefits of trusting my companion. This perceived delay reflects a desired space of separation between us, intertwining time and space as one illusion. Depending on how I project this illusion, it appears either time or space. This perceived gap makes genuine trust difficult, causing me to cling to caution and watchfulness, and sometimes fear that letting go might lead to loss before seeing the benefits. However, awakening is immediate. I
So
mustn't
just
fear.
pause there. So what's he saying in the first paragraph?
There's no need to delay and to let go and trusting our companion. So the perceived delay reflects a desired space of separation. So depending on how we project the illusion, it always appears in time and space. So this
It's
is
either time or space. Just
yeah.
quite, I mean, it's very sophisticated, the metaphysics of this and how it relates to the mind are, really sophisticated ideas. So I deny my true being and I deny the truth by believing in either space or time, and that plays out differently. I might think, oh, well, I'm separate from someone because there's space between us. That's very common. Human race thinks, I'm a separate person, and there's space between us. So you have a body, I have a body. That makes it real. Or there's time. Time has to elapse now. For me to be happy, I've got to do this and this and this, and this has got to happen, and then I'll be happy. Both of those are defenses against the truth, that the truth is true, and your true awareness is here right now. And so this perceived gap makes trust difficult, causing me to cling to caution and watchfulness. So I'm like, well, I can't really trust anything, so I'm cautious, I'm watchful, and watchful, caution, and anxiety. Sometimes fear that letting go might lead to loss before seeing its benefits. So as an example of this, sometimes fear that letting go might lead to loss. So like, well, I let go, maybe like one day I'll see the benefits, but actually right now I'm going to sacrifice because I'm going to lose something that I value. Okay, so however, awakening is immediate.
However, awakening is immediate. I mustn't fear this immediate union, thinking that there's a risk between embracing its purpose and reaping its effects. This fear wrongly extends to time, even though time in itself is neutral. My real apprehension is not about future losses, but the act of coming together in the present moment. I am fearful. The cause must be in the present and requires correction. My safety plans are rooted in the unpredictable future. I shouldn't fear outcomes without an evident cause in the present. Miracles or corrections exist in the present, the only real time. While the process of correction is instantaneous, accepting it can feel prolonged. I should recognize that all outcomes originating from pure formless awareness of perfect love are beneficial. However, discerning good when it appears as a challenge can be hard.
What's he saying here?
Well, awakening can be immediate, and we mustn't fear it. I'm thinking there's a risk. Otherwise, we're going to risk reaping the rewards, because correction is instantaneous, but accepting it can feel very prolonged.
Sure.
We've got to accept that the perfect love is beneficial rather than fearing it. Just take a leap of faith and just accept it.
Oh. Don't fear. One of the biggest challenges is we fear loss. Well, but if I do this, I'll lose what I value.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that, so I hold on. And actually, if we're willing to do it right now, then we experience the present benefit. Whenever you truly let go, you experience the benefit of happiness, love, peace, and joy right now. Okay, so why would beneficial appear as harmful?
Why would beneficial appear as harmful? If such good arises, its cause is now. Hence, its effects should be evident now, not relegated to a distant future. I mustn't sacrifice my present happiness for an uncertain future. This misperception has a root cause in my mind, manifesting as a perceived gap between my companion and me. I shouldn't.
What's it saying there?
Just. We would just, if we could only see the benefits and such good arises, and it is right now. And the effect should be evident even now and not relegating it to a distant future.
Yeah, and it's related to the separation I perceive between my companions and me. And so it's the same thought system. I perceive myself separated in space from my companions, or in time from my happiness. They are just different aspects of the space-time belief that is a defense against the truth. That right here, right now, I am happy, I am one with everyone, and there's no space or time that denies that can possibly affect that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one of the set on.
Excuse me. I shouldn't settle for future happiness when freedom and joy are available now. The consequence and its cause are simultaneous. I should aim not to escape time, but to close the perceived space between my companion and me, remembering the purpose of pure formless awareness of perfect love should bring us shared happiness.
To say eliminate. So what's he saying this one?
Well, back to the companion. We have to remember the purpose of this pure formless awareness should be a shared experience with our companions, a shared happiness. We don't need to wait for the future.
We collapse space. We collapse space, we are one, we're not bodies, we collapse time, we don't need any time to realize this, we are one now. This brings us, if we really realize this, tremendous happiness, an overwhelming happiness and joy, which we can experience right now. And that's the sharing of happiness he's talking about. Okay, so happy with that. Then this key message was what we wrote a year ago, so it's a bit shorter, but I thought it would be valuable to keep it in. So just read the key message.
The key message of this section is that I will have one remaining problem in perceiving an interval between the time when I let go and will receive the benefits of trusting my seemingly special companion. This interval of time is really a disguise for the distance I want to keep between myself and my companion. So I choose to let go of its present cause in my mind, which is the fear of becoming one with my companion and losing my special identity, and experience the benefits of unconditional trusting my companion now. In this way, I let go of my belief in time and space and free my mind from these illusions to experience the timeless freedom and transcendental peace that only perfect union with all my companions can bring me.
Yeah, so hopefully that kind of summarizes them. Okay, so that's the takeaway. Can I collapse space and time in my mind and my perception and bring myself into this transcendent peace, timeless freedom, and transcendent, and we'll make that happiness because I talked about happiness, only perfect union with all my companions. Right now can bring me. So I'm one right now, and then I feel happy and I feel peaceful, and the space-time defense of the ego is collapsed. Doesn't exist there anymore. I just am happy now in the state of oneness, and in a state where I'm purely present. There's no time. Okay, so any thoughts on that? Key message or
No, it's good.
section?
Good chapter, good section.
Yeah, it's in some ways quite complicated, but when you break it down, it's actually a very simple message. It's talking about time and space as defenses, and when we let those go, we come into the present moment. We merge with our companions, and we experience present happiness. Very simple. That's what he's saying. So, although it goes through 9 paragraphs of teaching on it, it's a very simple core idea and message. Yeah. So to end the session, should we do a quick meditation? Maybe 10 minutes?
Yep. Yep, that's good.
All right. So making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. To engage in meditations, breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you pause at the top of the inhale, so it's a maximal inhale breath. Scan your mind and just notice any beliefs in space or time, so any idea that you're separate from anyone, seeing them as a body with space between you, or time that something needs to happen and things need to change in order for you to be happy in any way. Maybe there's fear of the future. So just notice those thoughts, those emotions. Breathe in to those and remind yourself of the simple truth that I'm not a body, I am free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. And so there is no peace except the peace of perfect love. You choose to just let go of all body identification. You collapse the space between you and others and any sense of time. Come into this eternal now moment where peace and only peace is to experience. As it says, there is no peace except this peace, the peace of God or perfect love. And so exhale and just blow out anything that's disturbing your peace in any way. Blow it out with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness that it really is. Remind yourself that you don't want to wander from the way of peace. I'm lost on other roads. Than this, but let me follow this peaceful presence that leads me home, and peace is certain as the pure formless awareness, perfect love. Remind yourself again as you breathe in that I'm not a body, I'm free. So you breathe in the freedom of this knowledge that you're not a body, that you're eternal, immortal being, seemingly having a human experience, but your true awareness, your true identity is not a body. You're free, as the lesson says, free to be who you really are, which is eternal and immortal. For I am still as perfect love extends me. I'm still as perfect love extends me right now. So it is. And feel into that. Just breathing in and out through your nose. It's deep, slow, calm, rhythmical breaths, and you feel the peace of God, peace of perfect love with you right now. And just sink into that and merge into that experience right now. Breathing, observing the breath, getting deeper and deeper with each breath, having this experience just arise. It stops your busy mind, a monkey mind. Open yourself into this calm, peaceful, receptive state and listen to these words I'm going to read you. You can read them after me if you like. Say them as affirmations. It's the key message of today's section of the text, section 8 of chapter 26, called the Immediacy of Salvation. Really, the whole message is that it's right here, right now. Saved right here, right now. So breathing in, pause as you listen, and as you exhale out through your nose, you speak the words. So the key message, this section, is that I still have one remaining problem in perceiving an interval between time when I let go and will receive the benefits of trusting. in my seemingly special companion. Breathe in again. This interval of time is really a disguise for the distance I want to keep, space I want to keep between myself and my companions. Exhale as you speak those words. Breathe in again. So I choose to let go of its present cause in my mind. Exhale as you speak those words, which is the fear, as you breathe in again, of becoming one with my companion and losing my special identity, one of my companions. Losing my special identity, that's my great fear. Experience the benefits of unconditionally trusting and loving my companion now. So I fear present release because it's going to deconstruct my ego. I'm not going to be able to be a separate self anymore. It's my own unique personality, body, identity. I merge into oneness. I let go of that. I become one with my companions. And then the dream is over. In this way, I let go of my belief in time and space and free my mind from these illusions. Exhale the truth of that. Feel the release. Experience the timeless freedom, transcendent happiness, only perfect union with all my companions right now, only perfect using, only present union, all my companions can bring me. And so just sink into an awareness that you are one with everyone and everything right now. And sink into this present union. Feel the peace of it, nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Breathe, relax, be still, and sink inwards. A couple of minutes of deep silence. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender to the truth. The peace of perfect love that is within you now. The next 2 minutes of deep silence. Any thoughts come in, seemingly disturb your peace, just remind yourself that peace of perfect love is with me now. Because I'm not a body, I am free. I'm still as perfect love extends me. And so there is no peace except the peace of perfect love. Exhale, blow out any disturbances to that peace, and surrender to it. Wholly and completely sink into the peace and the stillness for the next couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. Just be the peace of perfect love, what you really are in truth. And so just gently coming back. From this deep awareness, this deep peace, bring attention back into the body, the breath, the senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air into the nostrils. You pause at the top of the inhale and you smile. Scan your mind. You notice any space-time illusions, any thoughts of time that has to elapse for something to happen, for you to be happy, or space, you think you're separate from others, emphasizing the space between, distance between you, and recognize that these are both defenses of the ego, illusions, and you choose to let them go by reminding yourself, I'm not a body, I am free, I am still as perfect love extends me. So I have the peace of God. There is no peace except the peace of God. Peace of perfect love is with me right now. Blow everything else away. Dark smoke, black smoke leaving you, all below stomach into the spine. It's Spell the last remaining air out and just rest here. Hold the breath and the gap between breaths. There's a stillness and a peace that arises. Let that arise, sink into it, go deeper into it. Moment by moment. So on the count of 2 now, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling with your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. And notice what you're hearing, surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. State of mind without illusions. And anchor that state in for the rest of the evening. Carry it with you. Rest of the evening on into tomorrow. So it is said, so it is done. So now, count of 3, open your eyes. Take a minute just to look around, ground yourself back into this seeming reality. Let's take a minute to observe in this very calm, peaceful way. Notice that whatever you're looking at, there's this underlying peace. It's a deep peace in you that cannot really be disturbed. It's the same peace as you experienced, hopefully quite deeply in the last 17 minutes. It's there right now with your eyes open. Close your eyes as you look at anything. Notice the same peace. Open your eyes again, look at something else. Experience the peace and close your eyes and open your eyes. Do that for half a dozen objects and notice that it's the same awareness and the same peace, irrespective of what you perceive on the physical level. And so you're training your mind that peaceful awareness is there always. It's your true nature, it's your true awareness. It can never be lost. And it's presently here. So the illusions of time and space collapse, and you accept it right now back into your awareness, which is awakening. So I hope this meditation and the session has helped you in that process and has brought you peace, which is what I wish for you for the rest of the evening. So thanks for joining, Elaine, and namaste.
Yeah, namaste. Thank you. Thank you very much. Another good
All
one.
right. Yeah.
See you
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow evening.
Yeah, yeah,
Time? Yes. 6 o'clock this time. Can you make it at 6?
yeah. That'll be good.
Okay.
See you then.
All right. Peace.
Namaste.
Namaste. All right. So that's a wrap for some profound teachings about space and time and collapsing them and letting go and being present in the eternal now moment, which is part of the perennial philosophy. All the great teachings say it's here now. And it always has been here now. So if you enjoyed today, then subscribe to the channel. You can also join us in one of these sessions. There's a link below to join our next masterclass on Sunday. If you'd like to be part of one of these, and you can also receive some of the material that I sent earlier, that I showed you earlier, and you can get it sent to you every day via Telegram, free. So there's a link below to do that. So hope to take the next step to engage, and I hope to connect with you on the inside soon. Namaste, which means the peace of perfect love in me acknowledges and honors that same peace of perfect love in you.